Hi there, this is the second part about oblique translation techniques. In this opportunity we are going to talk about adaptation. As introduction of adaptation, we have that adaptation occurs when something specific to one language culture is expressed in a different way that is familiar or appropriate to another. It is a shift in the cultural environment. For example, we have baseball in English, so we can translate this, or we can adapt this word up to football. As well, we are going to determine another options or another words that we are going to be able to adapt, or that has been adapting along the time in our language, either English or Spanish. In this case, we have to give something clear. That is that this technique is used to cut the confusion that may be tricky to understand. This technique can be simply prevent us from misunderstanding each other. When adapting a message, we are not translating it literally, but we have to respect the meaning of the original statement. In this case, we can say that adaptation is not the same as translation. We could say that it's similar to the term replacement. Most likely, it is to replace a cultural element in the source language with a cultural element that is compatible in the target language users or target cultural elements. For example, as the example that I'm showing you right now, the baseball, we adapt this word in our language as football. As well, we can adapt the other word that is in Mexico, that they use el Día de los Muertos. In English, we could say something that they can understand, or we can understand in English. I'd say the Day of Death. So, inferring that it is the Día de los Muertos in English and in Spanish, right? Then we can move on to the second part, that is the when to use it. We have three usages, and the first one is cultural differences, the third one idioms and proverbs, and the third one humor. And the first one, the cultural difference, the source culture may have concepts or practice that do not exist in the target culture. For example, in English they have Thanksgiving. We adapt this to Día de Gracias because there's no an exact translation for it. Then we have idioms and proverbs. Idioms and proverbs are often culturally specific, which means that they may not have direct equivalents in the target language. In this case, we have the idiom, it's raining cats and dogs, which infer that the raining is kind of heavy, or we can adapt this into Spanish like it's raining like crazy. That's the rain, it's heavy, so it's raining a lot. O podemos decir que está lloviendo mucho. We can adapt like that in Spanish. As humor, you will determine that humor is often based on cultural references, so it can be difficult to translate jokes and puns without losing the meaning. In this case, it's like an exception. So in Shrek, you remember that there's a scene and where the cookie says something like in Spanish, ¿conoces a Ping Pong? And which in English is the Muffin Man. So in that case, talking about a movie, they adapt the joke or the cultural myth or tale into the Spanish one. So that's basically what can be the adaptation in humor. Then you will find some references in case you wanted to make sure and wanted to give it a check to the information provided. Thank you so much and see you in the next module.